Good evening, YouTubers. Dave with Funky Sloth Comic and Collectibles here. It is Sunday, February 7th, 2021. I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe. Being that today is a Sunday, it is time for my weekly movie TV talk. And before every video, I give a shout out to somebody that's relevant to the topics that we're discussing. Tonight being a movie TV talk, it'll be somebody in that type of community, and tonight will be the Real Rejects. I've been watching the Real Rejects for quite some time. The guys are funny. It's Greg and John. They're really good. They bring some great enthusiasm into their videos. Again, they're fun. They're knowledgeable. And they've been doing a real good job with the WandaVision one, which we're going to be discussing tonight too. So if you're out and about looking for a movie TV talk information on YouTube, give them a look. They're the Real Rejects. Real Rejects. Really good bunch of guys. Alrighty. So not much happened this week in the world of movie and TV talk. We're going to do a quick review on one upcoming thing. There was some talk about Spider-Man, which we'll get into next week. Morbius, the movie, which we'll get into next week. But tonight, we're going to talk about two subjects. The first one is Universal. The Universal Monsterverse has given the green light, I guess, to a Dracula movie being directed by, what's her name again? Zoe Zhao? Chloe Zhao. They're saying it's going to be a sci-fi Western style Dracula, which hey, I'm good with that. Anything with Dracula, I'm into it. Universal Monsterverse is Dracula, Frankenstein, Invisible Man, the Mummy, Wolfman, and Phantom of the Opera. So far, they're 1 for 2. In their Monsterverse quest for good movies. Invisible Man was great. Really, really great. And then The Mummy with Tom Cruise absolutely sucked. It was bad. I'll take the Brendan Fraser Mummy over that one any day of the week. But yeah, and Chloe Zhao, I don't keep understand why I keep saying Zoe, but it's Chloe Zhao. She actually is the director of Marvel's upcoming film, The Eternals. Okay, I'm looking for The Eternals, but I'm looking forward to Dracula. I mean, if it's Dracula and werewolf related, I'm there. Or anything, actually, the Monsterverse. I wish they'd do a remake of The Mummy without Tom Cruise and do a good version of it. And then have them all come back together, kind of like, what's that movie? It was the early 90s, I think. The Monster Squad. The kids love that movie. Funny movie. Loved it. So, and then that was it for that. And we're going to get right into WandaVision. That is the hot topic this week. They're on episode 5, and the title of that episode was on a very special episode. And as usual, we're in a different era of time. And this week is definitely the 80s. It's definitely a Family Ties vibe. The way they introduced the TV show with the music, and showing Wanda as a kid growing up to where she is now. Then they showed Vision as a baby Vision and growing up to now, and the neighbors. So the episode starts off with Vision and Wanda trying to get the babies to sleep, the twins. Nothing's working. Give them the binky and they spit it out, and it's just not happening. Well, then here comes Agnes through the door, dressed in all 80s workout gear. The spandex, the different color spandexes, the big hair, the bandana, and the 80s exercise bag. And they're talking, and she makes a statement where she says, "Do you want me to take that again?" And Vision and Wanda are like, "What?" That was out of the blue, and it was just not. It didn't fit. And Vision calls Wanda over, and he's like, "Did you hear that?" And she's like, "What? What? No, nothing. Kind of like pushing it off like it's no big deal. It just didn't fit. So I'm thinking Wanda's reality and the whole mind games and maybe starting to affect her, so her powers aren't quite holding things together. That's what I thought until later on in the movie. That made the TV show. So as Wanda and Vision are talking, Agnes goes over and starts spraying the area with lavender. And she also has that brooch on, which, if you know my last video, you'll know what the brooch is. They see her doing that, and then next thing you know, she's over looking for the liquor cabinet. She asks for some dark liquor, lavender, kind of witchy stuff. To me, for this, what I'm thinking. And she goes, "Oh, it's not for the babies. I'm not going to make them drink it." So it was just weird. So all of a sudden, you hear the babies not talking. And they turn around, and the babies are no longer babies. They're 5-year-old kids standing there. So they break from that scene, and they cut to Monica, who's in the hospital bed getting tests from being thrown out. In the last episode, maybe banging her head, doing whatever. But they're testing her, as government agencies do. It's like some sort of CAT scan type of thing. She gets done. We hear audio of her being questioned by Tyler, Tyler is the guy in charge of Sword. And she's talking to what's her name, Darcy and Jimmy Woo. And then the next thing you know, you see Tyler pulling the group together of Sword agents and analysts and that sort of stuff, and they're talking about that Wanda is the principal victimizer. So what they're saying is everybody that's inside Wanda's world they're not there because they want to be. They're being held captive, kidnapped, kind of. And Monica speaks up and says, Wanda doesn't have any desire to destroy anything, or she doesn't believe she has a political agenda. But if you remember back was it right before Avengers Ultron, she is radicalized into being into that sort of stuff by, and so whatever. Then Tyler shows security footage of Wanda going into the Sword headquarters, and lo and behold, what's in there? Well, she gets in there and she takes Vision's corpse. You see Vision's corpse laying on a medical table. It looks like it's in different pieces. I'm not sure, but it's the way it looked like in the video. Well, she takes them. This is 9 days prior to where we're at in the TV show right now. And from what I'm gathering, this show takes place 2 weeks after the blip where the Hulk snaps and everybody comes back. So you see, she takes Vision's corpse back to her reality world, and if you remember, that's a direct violation of the Sokovia Agreement. Also, it's a direct Vision did not want his body to be used for science or weapons after he died. So she's violated Vision's wish in the Sokovia Accords. So right there, she's done two things that are. She's going to be I think she's going to still end up being a bad guy, but we'll see. So we go back to Wanda's house, and you see the boys, 5 years old. They're in the kitchen, being like boys, hiding something. And Wanda comes in, talks to them, and she's like, "What are you guys hiding?" She goes by them. They have a dog that's in the sink being washed with soap and stuff. And heard Vision get talking. Agnes is there, comes in with a doghouse, right out of the blue, comes in with a doghouse. But Vision and Wanda are sitting there talking, and like, you guys are you're too young to be able to take the responsibility of taking care of life. Just some little comments like that. And Vision says you got to be, 10 years old. Well, actually, right in front of you, these kids be 10 years old. So they allow them to keep the dog. But as Agnes is talking to the kids and messing with the dog in the doghouse, Wanda, bing, and a dog collar arrives in her, pops up in her hand. And Vision's like, "You did that right in front of her." So she's not even trying to hide her powers now. She's like, oh, Agnes wasn't paying attention. Well, but she's doing it in front of people now in her world. So you go back to Sword, and we're kind of going through this real quick. I don't want to be too long. You go back to Sword, and they're like, we got to figure out what's going on in that place. So they're like, we got to send something in. So, oh, before we go there, Vision is actually at work, and he's talking to one of the guys here. And they're talking about the new big thing, the internet. You know, the old dial-up internet. And he gets talking to the guy, and he puts his fingers on his head, and all of a sudden the guy starts going off. Save me from her. She's in my mind. Help us. And he does it again. And the guy goes back to what he was. So Visions knows now Wanda is in control of everything that's going on. This comes back later. So next thing, go back to Monica and Sword. They're talking, we got to get in there, look at this place, see her, blah, blah, blah. So next thing you know, you see Monica flying a drone into Wanda's world. And, she's going over the town, and she starts to hover in front of Wanda's house. And Wanda and everybody knows something's going on, so they go outside. Wanda looks up and sees this drone looking down on her. Well, that's when Tyler says, you have the shot. Blocks out Monica, and you see another service member over there. Looks like they're going to take the shot with the drone, but then the screen goes blank. Next thing you know, you hear alarms going off everywhere. And they all run outside, and you see the force field that's around Wanda's world. All's getting red. And you see a body figure coming towards you. It's Wanda. And she has the drone, dragging the drone as she gets out there, and she's like, is this yours? And throws it at Tyler. Well, and then she tells everybody there, this is your last warning. And she's got her magic in her hand. And you can tell this is where she is starting to get a little ticked off if people are trying to violate her space, her world. And she warns them. And yeah, she's mad. This is where I think she's going to be a villain. And all the soldiers have their lasers on her. Laser sights are lighting her up right in the chest. She has her magic, and she goes to walk away, and she does this, throws it like back towards the soldiers. Their eyes turn red, and they all take their weapons and train it on Tyler, the sword head. He's freaking out because he thinks he's about to get shot. Well, she goes back through the force field into her world, and the magic wears off on them, so they pull the rifles away. So to go back to the house, and her and Vision get into an argument. Vision knows this isn't right. There is something definitely wrong. And he's like asking her, what's outside of Westview? Those kids in the playgrounds. And he gets ticked, and he pulls his power, and he flies, hovers up, and then Wanda hovers up, and I'm like, oh crap, they're gonna go at it, which would be interesting if they did. They both calm down, and next thing you know, you hear the doorbell ring, and she's like, I didn't do that. And Vision's like, yeah, whatever. She goes, no, I did not do that. So she goes to answer the door, and they kind of cut away. So you see her answering the door as if you're the person that's going to coming to the door. And, well, guess what? It's her brother, Pietro, from the original Quicksilver. Not the one from Ultron. What was his name? Evan Peters was the original Quicksilver from X-Men. They bring him back as Quicksilver. And so now you've got the X-Men being introduced into Marvel. And I'm not sure what they're going to do. I think you're going to get somebody else introduced in this TV series. So, but that was the episode of this week. It was excellent. It'll be interesting to see where they go next week because next week they'll be in the 90s or in the 80s this week, and that'll be episode 7. And I think there's 9 episodes, 8 episodes. So they only have this 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so they have 3 more episodes. So you're in the 90s. You go in the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010. So more like where we're at now. I don't know. We will see. I'm really liking the show, and I think you're going to start seeing more direct ties into how she is altering a lot of reality. And I think that's where Spider-Man will come in with all this talk of having Andrew Maguire, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield come back, and villains from the past come back. So it's she's messing with all reality, her powers. So we'll see. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's video. I'm trying to rush it in a little because Super Bowl's tonight. My team's not in. I've been a New England Patriots fan since the 70s. Tom Brady's there, so I hope Tom Brady wins, as I can't stand the Kansas City Chiefs. Can't stand Mahomes. I'll probably watch some of it. But everybody have a good night. My next video will be Wednesday, and that'll be my top 10 Marvel characters. And then, of course, on Friday will be my comic and collecting video. I hope everybody stays safe. Take care of each other out there. Remember, watch what you want to watch. There's a lot of great TV out there. It's so much great TV out there, it's hard to actually pick something that we want to watch. There's so much to choose from now, and there's not enough time in the day to watch everything that's out there. So you got to pick and choose wisely nowadays. So again, watch what you want to watch, enjoy it, and you guys have a great night.